think we're good. Yeah, right now. We'll just see how this pops up. I'm Heather Sullivan. I am a vacation specialist with Dream Vacations, and I wanted to thank you all for coming and joining us tonight. I'm here tonight with Brandon Oscarson from AmaWaterways and Sherry Griffiths from Cruise Tips TV. Yeah, Sherry and Montebello and Associates, and I'm part of Montebello and Associates, have joined together, and so we have been doing Zoom calls all summer and talking about different topics, just kind of informing our clients of like what is happening in the world, and just keep dreaming of new destinations. So Sherry is so gracious and invites her clients from her show, and so Sherry, we really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I had to unmute there, Heather. Really appreciate it. Special thanks, Heather, for putting this together and making all this effort for us during this difficult time. It's been such a nice oasis after a long work day. I know for me, I feel like I'm getting an education when we do these, so thank you. And Heather takes excellent care, everyone, of our community in booking travel. She and Wendy do just a beautiful job. Also, Brandon, thank you so much for coming back and doing this again. Thank you for doing this after hours. This is really special, you guys, because Brandon has actually traveled to this area of the world and said it was just a really moving and incredible cruise. So I'm excited to hear his perspective on it. It's going to be a really relaxed night. Just going to kind of see this through Brandon's eyes, through Ama's eyes, and we'll, of course, have time for questions at the end.
Excellent. Very nice. Thank you very much. And thank you for putting this together. And thank you for joining me again. And for those of you who are joining for the first time, thank you so much for joining. And I'll share something about this itinerary. I was just telling Heather and Sherry before everybody jumped in. So the first time I went to this part of the world, because I've been there a couple of times now, my wife had no interest in going to Vietnam and Cambodia. So she said, let's go to Europe again. I was like, well, this is work. I really want to go and I want to have this experience. And I booked it. And she's like, I'm not coming with you. I called her bluff. I booked it. She held strong. It took about a week or two before she said, okay, put me on the booking. I'll go with you. And I'll tell you that for me, it is one of my favorite places in the world. Cambodia very specifically is one of my favorite places in the world. And for my wife, it was one of the most amazing vacations of her life. She absolutely loved it. We both loved the people. The people are such warm, charming people. And yes, this is a part of the world where poverty is prevalent, but you see that they're so warm and friendly, and they don't miss all the things that we have and they don't have. And that was so mind-blowing and eye-opening to see a place like this. And in Cambodia, I thought it was particularly interesting that even though people don't have a lot of money, there are some people on the streets, they don't beg for anything. They may try to sell you something, but they're not high pressure. They're very relaxed about what they do. Both countries have Buddhist culture. So I'm getting ready to tell you about, again, one of my favorite places that I've ever been a couple of times now. So the full itinerary is a 15-night trip with us. We do 2 nights in Hanoi, 1 night out on Ha Long Bay. We do 3 nights in Siem Reap, your 7-night cruise, and then we do 2 nights post in Ho Chi Minh City. And we also have an optional add-on package where you can add 3 nights in Bangkok. And I have not been able to do that part of it yet. I have been to Bangkok. It was amazing. I'll tell you, you go to this part of the world, that is a place that you absolutely have to see. So let's talk about where we are staying when we go into Hanoi. So this is your first stop. Now, what's really neat, Vietnam was French colonized for a very long time. So in the biggest cities, Hanoi, Ho Chi Minh City, used to be Saigon, you're going to see a lot of French architecture. Actually, you'll even find that there's a lot of French influence in some of their cuisine even. But we have chosen to stay at the Sofitel Metropole. Absolutely beautiful. We know that you're going to a third world country and you're going to go and see some very amazing and interesting things when you're out on the streets. But at night, when you lay your head down to go to sleep, we want you to have the same comforts that you're going to find when you're at home. And that you will absolutely find at this hotel. So part of the tours that you go on, you get to go on an authentic rickshaw through Hanoi's Old Quarter. This is the capital of Vietnam, and it's known, like I said, for its architecture. You have a lot of beautiful French architecture. Another stop along the way, the Temple of Literature. So this is actually considered to be one of Hanoi's most picturesque tourist attractions. And you have some of that authentic Vietnamese architecture in place at this particular location. And when it was originally built, it was built as a university, but it has become a temple over the years. We will take you to the Ba Dinh Square. This is where the president resides, and you'll get to see the soldiers walking around in their white uniforms with the red and yellow trim. And this is something that I think is really neat. So in Hanoi, you get to see a water puppet show. So this actually dates back to the 11th century. This is what the villagers used to do when all the rice fields would end up flooding. This is how they would entertain the rest of the village. They would do these very simple water puppet shows. Obviously, through time and evolution, what they do now is it's a lot more spectacular than the way the villagers and children were entertained back in the day. So I mentioned you get to spend the night on Ha Long Bay. I will tell you that this is a peak highlight for majority of the guests who go on this trip. You get to spend the evening on one of the 7 natural wonders of the world. Absolutely beautiful. And we do stay on the Paradise Elegance. So essentially you're staying on a very ginormous yacht. You're going to be on board overnight. You get to have dinner. And then the next day, actually, if you want to maybe grab a kayak and go paddle around Ha Long Bay, that's an option for you as well. And as you can see, we do have very comfortable and luxurious accommodations here. And as I mentioned, the boating around and exploring Ha Long Bay. You'll have to forgive me. This is not a presentation I get to do very often, so I don't have each slide memorized what's coming up next. So I may tell you something before it shows up and later be like, oh yeah, we talked about that. Let's talk about it more. So everyone I know who's gone out and done this, again, this is one of the peak highlights of the entire trip. Now, another one of the peak highlights for everybody, it's the time that you spend while you're in Siem Reap. Now, Siem Reap is my favorite place out of all the places we go through Vietnam and Cambodia. Absolutely beautiful. We do stay at the Sofitel in Siem Reap. This is the most luxurious and beautiful hotel you're going to find in Siem Reap. And I've stayed at a couple different places there. There's very nice places, but there is nothing quite like this. As you can see, stunning grounds. And again, the comforts you're looking for when you're ready to lay your head down at night to go to sleep. So as you start to jump into your city tour and go out, and actually temple tours more than city tours, because in Siem Reap, you will tour temples and you'll explore the city kind of on your own in the evenings and later afternoons. And I don't have a slide on it, but before I really jump into it, I want to say it's less than a 5-minute rickshaw ride from your hotel to a street called Pub Street. Pub Street, it has bars, restaurants, all kinds of shopping. It's really geared towards Westerners. You'll hear a lot of people from Australia and New Zealand walking around because it's much closer for them than it is for us. But if you're looking for places to go out and eat and grab a drink maybe, Pub Street is the place that you're going to go. And it's 5 minutes from your hotel on one of the rickshaws. I'm sorry, it's a tuk-tuk, not a rickshaw, tuk-tuks. Now, I'm going to give you a little tip. Bargaining is a part of life in Siem Reap, in Cambodia. When you go to jump on one of the tuk-tuks, if they try to get you to pay more than $2, just look at one of the 50 other guys sitting next to them, and somebody's going to give you a ride for $2. You should not pay more than $2 to get from your hotel to Pub Street. And again, Pub Street is massive. There's tons of shops all around that area and wonderful places to eat. Now, kind of moving into the temples. When you go off to take your very first tour, this is actually one of the places that you go through. We do stop so you can get some of these really neat pictures from either side of a bridge. This is actually a bridge that we're stopped on right here, and you have to pass through that tunnel to get to one of the stops. But one of the temples that we visit is Ta Prohm. Now, some people look at this and they immediately realize that this looks extremely familiar. The most popular movie that I know of that this has been in was with Angelina Jolie, Lara Croft Tomb Raider in the late 90s, maybe early 2000s. This is the place where she goes and battles statues and saves the world by finding this ancient non-existent thing. So anyhow, this is one of the stops along the way. It is breathtaking. And it was really interesting. When I was on my tour, the guide was telling me the reason there are trees on top of and taking over the temple. Well, we know that birds eat seeds, and when they're flying, what they eat just lands where it lands, and trees started growing. Well, back when this originally started, the monks were like, well, this is nature, this is beauty, we leave it, we don't touch it. But most of the temple is covered in trees, and it is taken over, and it's more like ruins now because the trees have taken over. And I wish I had a picture of it, but the resolution is too terrible. I have a picture on my phone of, there's a tree that has an eye opened up about that big in it. And when you look into it, you can see this little Buddha statue that the tree has just grown around inside of it. So when you go here and you're walking around and exploring, look for little things like that because you'll be surprised at what you find. Another one of the stops along the way is Bante Shray. This was built in the 10th century out of red and yellow sandstone. Now, we're looking at it as we're kind of up close to it, but if you take a step back, this is by far the smallest of the temples that you're going to see. However, it is breathtaking. And once you get inside, every square inch is covered in beautiful hand-carved details and art. And when this was built, it's a Hindu temple, and it was built for the god Shiva. So this at one point was considered to be the crown jewel of the Siem Reap. And this is what everybody really goes to Siem Reap to see. This is the big one. Angkor Wat is the largest religious monument in the world, built in the 12th century. Now this was also originally built as a Hindu temple. But when you walk inside, you see Buddha statues everywhere. And it's because around a little bit later after it was built, the Cambodians were implementing a lot of Buddhism. And something that I learned while I was over there is that most Cambodians do have three religions that they practice all three of them. They're Hindu, they are Buddhist, and they worship nature. And as you explore these temples and you look around, you will see elements of all of these that all tie together. And each of the temples do have stories of the people carved into the walls that tell what was happening at that time while they were building. And now, interestingly enough, they have used laser technology to explore this region of Cambodia, and underneath Angkor Wat, they have found that there was an entirely different civilization and architecture that was built on top of. Obviously, we will never, ever, ever see that because the grounds are massive. And when I say it's one of the largest religious monuments in the world, when you get there, you're in awe. It is absolutely breathtaking. And just another picture, you can get a picture in the exact same spot when you go to visit Angkor Wat. It is breathtaking. So after we do our 3 nights in Siem Reap, we do board the Amadara. I love this vessel. I love the people on board. We have such an amazing staff. Actually, I'll jump back. 124 passengers maximum here. You have 62 staterooms. Categories A, B, and C are twin balcony staterooms, 251 square feet. So at the very beginning, you have very spacious staterooms. Now, all of these people on board will become like family to you. And if you're planning on going on this trip, I'll tell you something. The lady on the far left, her name sounds like it's raining. So when you get on board, if you just say that to her, she'll grin ear to ear. The fact that I remembered her name the second time I got on board, it was amazing. But what was even stranger to me, do I have a picture of him? I don't. So the maitre d' for our chef's table on board, as soon as I walked on the ship, he looked at me, he goes, "Mr. Branson." Well, my name is Brandon, but to him, I'm Mr. Branson. And it just floored me. 2 years without seeing him, and he just immediately remembered me. But that tells you who they are and what they're like. They're really warm and genuine people. So as I had mentioned, categories A, B, and C, you have our signature twin balconies. And what that means, what we're looking at here on your left-hand side, it's a French balcony area. So just a sliding glass door that opens to the side so you can get fresh air into the stateroom. And then over on the right, you have your own full private veranda. Now, my personal opinion on this ship, you're probably not going to use that French balcony door because you will keep your door shut at all times. We are on the Mekong Delta. There are things that fly around there, little bugs that you don't want to invite into your room. So you'll just keep those closed. But although we do spend a day selling when we cross borders from Cambodia to Vietnam, vice versa. And it's absolutely amazing to sit out on your balcony and spend some time just kind of seeing different villages and life along the Mekong Delta. The first time I went over there, we cruised by a giant Cambodian outdoor wedding. And I just remember that you could tell they had rented these big, huge, giant speakers. Everything was colorful, what they were wearing. The music was loud, and as we're cruising by, people were waving, and it was really neat to just kind of have that experience while you're sitting on board a river cruise vessel. So our suites are 366 square feet. As you can see, the bed is right there facing the window. And the beautiful thing about cruising the Mekong Delta, you never have to worry about mooring or rafting or whatever terminology you use where other ships have to moor up against ours. So if you want to leave your curtains open at night and wake up to look out at the beautiful Mekong Delta, you can absolutely do that. Our luxury suites are actually 2 rooms. You have a separate living and bed area and bedroom of 502 square feet. Now, on the Mekong, we do have complimentary Wi-Fi. It always works best in the lounge, and it's just because of the reception of it. And it works best when we're in port. Some of these places we're cruising through, there are no cell towers. Now, our suites and our luxury suites, we actually put hotspots inside of them, so you get that better connectivity when you're inside of your stateroom. I usually get great connectivity in my room, even though I'm further down the ship, but I know the suites get better connections. This is your Saigon Lounge. This is where you're going to spend your free time when you're not dining or on an excursion. Because when you're on a river cruise, it is very rare that you spend time hanging out in your stateroom. Most guests like to come up here, and you're going to have your evening entertainment, your social time, your cocktail hours. Speaking of, what's really neat about the Mekong Delta, our local beers and cocktails with local spirits are complimentary 24/7. You'll be served complimentary wine with your lunch and dinner. And since this part of the world isn't known for their wines, we bring wines from South Africa and Chile over. And I'm a little bit of a wine snob. I'll tell you, I love that we get really unique and amazing wines. And the South African wines are very similar to California wines because the climate is very similar. 24/7, you also have bottled water, coffee, specialty coffee, drinks, and tea. So that's always available complimentary as well. Now, one thing that I've learned over the many years of working in travel, people who enjoy traveling are foodies. We love to experience the cuisine of the places we go to. I will tell you, my wife plans our trips based on where we're going to eat each day. That is a vacation for us. Eat, explore, eat. So, of course, we're going to have absolutely amazing meals for you. And we do, in the main dining room, we have this great little action station where we have homemade pho available, and it's an omelet station in the morning. They always do something unique and local right there. Now, local cuisine is available for all of your meals. So if you're adventurous and you want to try new things, obviously we gear it towards Westerners, but it is the local cuisine. And honestly, it is absolutely fantastic. Everything we serve is amazing. So the last time I was there, somebody had to twist my arm into eating one of our cheeseburgers. I am all about the local cuisine, but my friends who were with me were like, look, you have to have a cheeseburger. It's going to blow your mind. And I could not believe how delicious the cheeseburgers were. So, and the reason I bring that up, if you decide one day you're not into the local cuisine, you just rather have something different, there's always cheeseburgers available. We have steak, chicken, fish, and vegetarian options as well. Now, what's really neat, so something that we are known for, it's our chef's table. The chef's table, it's complimentary. There's no upcharge. We do this in Europe, and we do it on the Mekong. So this is a European style tasting. You don't get to look at a menu here. The difference on the Mekong, will ask you up front, do you want beef or chicken as your main course? So that's the only difference. But other than that, everything is just kind of brought out to the table. You start off with usually 2 small hors d'oeuvres. From there, we'll bring you champagne with sorbet soaking in it. We move on to your main entree, and then we have 2 to 3 small desserts at the end. And we pair it with about 3 different wines throughout the evening at the chef's table. If you like to keep up with the fitness regimen while you travel, you can absolutely do that on board the AmaWaterways. Now, obviously, you can see there's not a lot of equipment in there, so you'll have to be a little creative. Luckily for me, I'm a personal trainer, so I can figure out a million things to do with what little is there. But if you like to keep up with the regiment, this is something unique to AmaWaterways. Nobody else does this. We do have state-of-the-art cardio equipment and a handful of dumbbells there, so you can get a workout in. We have a massage parlor on board. Again, something unique to AmaWaterways. In the river cruise industry, any place you can put a stateroom, most of our competitors will put bodies to bed at night. With us, we would rather give you more things to do while you're on board rather than packing more people. So we have a massage room set to the side so you can get a massage while you travel. We do have a pool on the sun deck. This is heated by nature. This part of the world is hot, really hot, and yet people actually live in this heat. Kind of like Arizona, except we get cold winters. They do not get cold winters. They get rainy winters over here. And that sunset we're looking at is, you will see so many different types of sunsets as you cruise along the Mekong. It is breathtaking. Now, we do have a bar on the sun deck and a bar in the lounge, because again, those cocktails are available at no charge 24/7. The sun deck on the AmaWaterways, I would say, gets used more than any other ship that I have personally been on. And I've been on 11 river cruises over the last 8 years. So I've got a lot of experience, and it's just because of where you're at, and there's more time on the water on this particular itinerary. So make sure to bring your bathing suit, because the pool is spectacular. We do have a gift shop. This is just on the other side. If you're standing at our reception desk, it's right out there on the other side of the reception desk. What I love about this gift shop, everything you see here, it's stuff that you've seen as you've been cruising through these wonderful areas along the Mekong Delta. And you'll find that the prices are pretty much the same prices you would have paid if you were to pick it up in the shop. We don't boost up the prices. And the reason we've done this, a lot of times when you're cruising, you'll run around, you do some shopping, you'll think about getting something, and when you get on the ship later, you'll be like, I really wish I would have picked that up. There's a really good chance that we have it, or we can get it for you at the next stop. The authentic local entertainment. This is really special. We bring local singers, dancers, and musicians. On the Mekong, you're going to find a lot of different types of dancers. that come on and perform for you. And what's beautiful is their dances tell the stories. Well, they all tell different stories. So I don't remember the details of this. All I know is that the little boy with the monkey mask is a bad monkey. That's all I remember. He's a bad little monkey. but the dances are beautiful, and it's a really special part of the trip. So I had mentioned that while we're crossing borders from Cambodia into Vietnam, we spend the entire day cruising over. Now, what we're not looking at here, but I'll bring up, is we do a Vietnamese coffee tasting on this day. We do an ice cream party, but we also do an exotic fruit tasting. I don't know if any of you have been over into this part of the world or been to tropical places where everything under the sun can possibly grow. But in this part of the world, literally every fruit you can imagine and every fruit you hoped you would never imagine actually grows here. And I'm talking about the durian fruit. Does anybody know durian fruit? You can nod. Yeah. Yep, exactly. It's the stinky fruit. When you get close to it, you're like, that's a diaper. Nope, that's fruit. So if you're feeling adventurous and you want to try it, they literally bring it all out. And I will tell you, I tried it. Not as bad as it smells, but it's not for me. But everybody over there, it's like dessert. That is the dessert of choice in this part of the world. I love the Vietnamese coffee tasting as well. That is amazing. I am a coffee person, so that's a lot of fun also. And one of the things I really love about Vietnamese coffee, they put condensed milk in it. That's why it tastes so dang good. So let's talk about some of the places you're going to stop along the way. Now, I actually haven't been to this one. We changed from one village to another, but I love this because one of the crafts that the Cambodians are known for, it's their silk making. As a matter of fact, they're so good at it and their work is so beautiful that on all of our ships around the world, our gift to the ladies who cruise with us is a silk scarf that was handmade in Cambodia. So obviously we're going to take you to a silk village so you can see the silkworms, and they're going to teach you about the process of how they do it. And as you can see, when I say handmade, she is weaving these things with her hands. She has some machinery there, but she has to operate all of it by hand. And
so Brandon, can I ask a question?
Yes.
Can I interject for a minute? So regarding to that silk and seeing her do that, is there plenty of time to shop and to experience and to buy and is there plenty of time to do that? Awesome.
We are not going to take you to a silk making village and not give you time to buy silk products.
Just wanted to confirm. I just want to make sure we got plenty of time.
Of course, of course. No, yeah. So every place we go, you always have about an hour and a half guided tour, then about an hour to an hour and a half of free time. Okay. So yeah, we want you, part of the reason we take you here, one, it's a wonderful experience, but it supports their economy. Perfect. It's so wonderful for you to have the opportunity to go in and actually buy a handmade silk product. The place that I've been, that's where the school, it's by this school, it was a silver making village. And I literally watched the lady sitting on a table, wow, hammering with her tools to decorate these little silver elephants. And I ended up buying one that she had made. Nice. With her 2 hands. So perfect. Yeah, same with the silk place, you get to go in and buy these wonderful products, and it's incredible. Now I would say in the silk village, you probably don't have negotiating power, but when you're on the streets, you always have negotiating power.
Yep, thank you.
Oh, my pleasure, of course. Now, one of the things that is the most touching part of this trip, it's the children. The children are so wonderful. And when they meet you, they're going to ask you 3 questions. What's your name? Where are you from? How old are you? Because that is the English that they know. That is the English they know. And a lot of times they'll run up to you with a little drawing, like a picture that they drew. And, you know, they want a quarter or something for it. Now, I didn't know this the first time I went. This cute little girl runs up and hands me a picture. I was like, oh, thank you. And she ran away, like giggling. And my friend was like, yeah, you probably should have paid her for that. And I was like, oh my gosh, I should have. but they don't beg. It's not their nature. But the children are such a wonderful part of this itinerary. And now something else we do is we take you to the Udong Buddhist temple. and you are going to have a blessing here. Now this is really neat. Once everybody comes in, everyone gets to have the chance to sit down. Now if you look at the monk that's the second one to the right, in front of him you see like a little tray that looks like it has popcorn in it. That's not popcorn, that's lotus flower. Those are little lotus buds. The reason I bring this to your attention, during your blessing, if you choose to close your eyes and just really kind of take it in, it's kind of surreal because they're chanting. And you're in this temple that's a hall where the acoustics, everything kind of has this unique sound to it. And it has this really surreal moment. But while they're chanting, so I'm in it. I'm in the moment. And I have my head down. I have my eyes closed. And all of a sudden I feel things hitting me. And I'm, what the heck was that? They throw the lotus buds out as part of the blessing. But again, another one of these beautiful and magical experiences that you're going to have cruising along the Mekong Delta. Now, it's funny, I'll say beautiful and magical on all of these because they all are. This is optional, and it's included. There's no charge for it. You can take an oxcart ride. You can either, after your blessing, go back to the ship, or you can go on the Kampong Traluk oxcart ride. I highly recommend taking the oxcart ride. If it's hot and sunny out, they'll bring you a nice little yellow umbrella so you can hold it over your head while you're going on the ride. But you're essentially just taking a ride through the village, going down the main little dirt road. You'll see a lot of families kind of coming out of their house. All the kids will stop and wave at you. And when you're done with the oxcart ride, we do take you back to the ship. Now, Phnom Penh is the capital of Cambodia. You get to do a couple of really neat things here. You get to have a tuk-tuk ride while you're in Phnom Penh. You get to go and explore the city. This is part of your city tour. One of the more harder things, but you have to do it, as we go to the killing fields and the Genocide Museum. So I don't know how many of you are familiar with the history of Cambodia, but the Khmer Rouge really tried to kill all of the Cambodians. They tried to genocide their very own people, Pol Pot. And this didn't end until the 90s. This went on until I think about 1992. But through 1975 and 79, over 1 million people were killed. And this is where they would bring them after they interrogated them. It was, again, it's not an easy part of the trip. It's very emotional, but it's one of those things that it's a part of their history. And all of the people that you're going to tour with, the tour guides that are Cambodian, they survived this. They have their own personal stories that they'll share with you while they're doing this. And I'll share one thing that the guy who took me through the first time told me. He said that when his father was growing up, war was always happening, that it was normal for people to have two professions. His father happened to be a teacher, but he was also a barber. So when his family was taken by the Khmer Rouge, they asked him what he did, because if he told them he was a teacher, he would have been gone immediately. They didn't want anybody who was educated at all. So his father said, I'm a barber. So the general who was there in his village took his father and said, you need to cut all of my men's hair. And if you do a bad job, you're gone. So his father went and cut everybody's hair, and his father was able to, he and his family were able to survive this. But again, when you're here, this is part of their history. It's part of their more recent history. And even though it's an emotional part of the trip, it's something that you just have to do. It brings you a little closer to them. We also visit the Royal Palace. Yes, this is the most stunning and beautiful grounds you will see while you're in Cambodia. It is breathtaking. A part of the trip through the Royal Grounds is they take you to one of these rooms where they have the different types of dresses that the brides wear, and the grooms have their own attire as well for a wedding. And the brides wear 7 different dresses on their wedding day. And you get to see all of the different types of styles and colors that they use. And they also have a museum on the grounds with all of the ancient art and things that they keep at the Royal Palace. And when you're done with the Royal Palace, you have a couple of choices. Choice number one, you can go to the Phnom Penh National Museum. Again, you're going to see a lot of amazing art that was created right here in Cambodia. Option number two, you can go shopping at the Central Market. I can honestly say they're both great options. I have done both of them, and I can't fault anyone for choosing one or the other. This Central Market, you are going to find everything under the sun. Now, I am not typically a negotiator, but in Cambodia, I happen to have this skill. Matter of fact, people would come to me, the other cruisers, and they would say, will you help me get things? And what I have learned, if somebody is going to let you walk away from a sale, that means you hit their rock bottom. Whatever they said their lowest price is, that's it. But you do need to negotiate with them when you're out shopping. It is part of the culture. And if you don't do it, you're missing out. And they really do expect it from you. Now, Tan Chao, this is so much fun. In Tan Chao, I'm going to back up a little bit. So when you're cruising on the Mekong, there's only 3 ports where you can walk on and off the ship at night if you would like to. The rest of the time, you are in the middle of the Mekong Delta at anchor. So we have to have smaller boats bring you back and forth. So this particular morning, you'll wake up and you'll get onto a smaller boat. And as you're going over to the side of the river, there's a bunch of steps that go up to the side. And you'll see up at the top that there is like a massive line. You can't even see how long it is from where you're sitting, of these trishaws just lined up. You'll jump on one of these and it's like a parade going through town. It's not a short little ride. It's a decent ride. And all of the locals, it has to be so entertaining for them. They must be used to it by now. We've been doing it forever, but you can wave at everybody and they're so warm and friendly. You can feel that warm, friendly energy just exuding from them. And it's kind of humorous that all of these Westerners come and take trishaw parades through their neighborhood. So where we take you, this is where I say bring your credit card. This is the Tan Chao Craftsman Workshop. There is some stunningly beautiful silk that is made here. And you'll get to see the process that it's done here. It's all the machines that do it. But when you're done learning about it and learning about the silkworms and seeing the process, it's very loud in here, but you want to go in and just kind of take a look. They have this wonderful gift shop and the prices are mind-blowing. I bought my wife and my grandmother these beautiful stitched silk purses, and anytime my wife takes it out, she gets stopped all over the place. People ask her where she got it. They think it's like a $200 bag, but it was a $20 bag. And it was my grandma's favorite bag to carry her Bible in when she was going to church. But this is a wonderful stop. If you love to shop and you want to bring some really cool souvenirs back, they have it here. If you want to buy some ties for your men, they have wonderful ties here. I'm a tie person, not wearing one today, but I wear ties all the time, so I've got a few from here. It's a great stop along the way. And then we will take a walk back to the ship from here, because you're really not that far away, well, to a boat that will take you back to the ship. And as we're walking back, you get to see the local villagers. And yep, the kids, all of them, as you meet them, that's their thing, peace. That is what they do. The Sadek local market. So we start off in Sadek by cruising. We take you on a smaller boat through their floating market. And depending on the time, you may see a lot of activity, or the people who sell on the floating market, a lot of times they live in their boats, so there may not be a lot of activity. But as soon as you get on the street in their local market, I know that this picture is a lot of fruit and vegetables, but you will see everything under the sun, except you won't see dogs. I will just throw that out there. Question people ask me is, am I going to see dogs for sale for food here? No, you are not going to see that. But everything that they can possibly fish out of the Mekong Delta, you will see here, along with a lot of produce. This is, again, we'll take you through a walk through here. This is a guided tour. And we are going to take a walk to the rice paper workshop. So this isn't too far from there. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, yeah, I apologize. Yeah, so one of you will be lucky enough possibly to get to try and make the rice paper, because that lovely lady there, she pulled me in. I failed. I did not do a good job of making rice paper, but I've seen other people do quite a good job. But it's really neat to see how these products that I even use in my house are made. And then when you're done there, you get to go into another part of the shop where they make handmade candy. So on the right-hand side, you see the girls chopping up coconut candy. So they have a lot of different flavors that you can purchase, very inexpensive, great prices in this part of the world. And on the left-hand side, they're going to show you how they make puffed rice, and then they end up making puffed rice treats. So it's really interesting. The way they make puffed rice, they have black sand sitting on top of fire in this giant pot right here. And they will take just a big bag of rice, throw it in there, and it just puffs up automatically, and they filter it out into this bin, and then they put like syrup with like maybe strawberry flavor and things like that, mix it up and make little squares, like almost like a Rice Krispie treat. And if you're feeling really adventurous, you can try the snake wine. Now, it's not really wine. Yep, that's a snake. It's more like a whiskey. I will tell you that in my group, there was about 30 of us, and only one person didn't try it. It's delicious. It tastes fantastic. I see a lot of this happening. But when you're there, it's kind of hard not to try it. Now, the one thing you can't do, you cannot buy a bottle of it and bring it back home. It is illegal because, strange enough, cobras are a protected species. You would think that there's enough of them in the world, but I guess that we're running short on them. I know, right? I feel the same way, Sherry. So after your 7-night cruise, we do spend 2 nights post in Ho Chi Minh City. Again, Sofitel. So in this part of the world, Sofitels are always going to be the best option. We want you to have those comforts of home when you go to bed at night, and you'll find that while you're here. While you're in Ho Chi Minh City, yes, we are going to visit the Presidential Palace, built between 1900 and 1906, and this was a house to the French governor, General Indochina. We are also going to take you on a trip to visit the Notre Dame Cathedral of Ho Chi Minh City, another beautiful stop along the way. Now, I have not done this part of it yet, but we also visit the Central Post Office. Now, I guess it's one of the most beautiful and preserved remnants from the French colonial times. And it's actually considered to be the grandest post office in all of Southeast Asia. So I know it sounds kind of weird. Oh, we're taking you to the post office. If you have something to mail, bring it with you. But it's actually a really neat part of the trip. And then, again, part of this part of the world, the markets are spectacular. We're absolutely going to take you to another marketplace in Ho Chi Minh City. Ho Chi Minh City, again, formerly Saigon. So when you're done with that, if you still have the time, we will take you for 3 nights post in Bangkok. We do stay at the Peninsula Bangkok. Again, beautiful accommodations. And look, we put you high up so you have the beautiful views from your room as well. We are going to take you to the Grand Palace. Now, one thing I learned when I got to the Grand Palace, cover your knees. If you have any shorts on, you will not get very far once you get inside of the main part of the gate. For gentlemen, I recommend linen pants because we do go to some temples. Anytime you're going to a palace or a temple here, a lot of them, you have to cover your shoulders and you have to cover your knees. So I went to Kohl's and got a couple of different pairs of linen pants. And in this part of the world, they breathe well, they're light, they're comfortable. And I never felt that I was uncomfortable because of the heat. But then again, I live in Arizona, so I'm kind of used to the heat. That and I bring the heat. Okay, I'm done. We also go to visit the Reclining Buddha. Now, I've seen a couple of different Reclining Buddhas in this part of the world. They are always massive and stunningly beautiful. Now, I will tell you one thing that I learned about this particular Reclining Buddha. So the place that this is located is the birthplace of traditional Thai massages. Now, So they call Bangkok Canals the Venice of the East. You will also get to take a canal tour through Bangkok with us. And you'll get to go to the Temple of the Dawn. Now, we do have a show special in place since you were able to join us this evening, and we appreciate your time and attention. I have a 100 per person discount that I will give you for any booking that is made by August 18th. Now, booking just means you're holding onto a stateroom. We do have a 7-day grace period for you to make a deposit. Actually, I think the deposit is a little bit longer right now because of what's happening in the world. We give you a little more time. So if this is something you want to do, that 100 per person discount, it's extra savings for you. Get something on hold right away. And Heather, you have a group in place, yes?
I do, yeah. So I have a group for March 7th.